So I'm assuming you've all noticed, but people are literally losing their minds right now. We are 2 weeks into this quarantine because of the coronavirus, and people are panicked and buying up all the toilet paper. There's literally videos of old ladies getting in fistfights over packages of toilet paper. And people are going out of control. But it doesn't have to be this way. And also, we need to realize that this is only temporary. It's going to come to an end. So take a deep breath, relax, be calm. This will blow over in a couple weeks. Worst case scenario, another few months, we'll get through this. But here's a couple lessons that we can learn from this time in quarantine and from this emergency that we're in. Right, so I'm going to give you a couple things that you can do once this all blows over, once things go back to normal, you go back to work, you resume your ordinary lives. But we need to be prepared because something like this could happen again. Now, I'm not just talking about another pandemic, but maybe we have another disaster like a hurricane or a tornado or earthquake or blizzard, or maybe it's just something as simple as you being laid off from your job for a few weeks or months. There's a few things that we can learn from right now that we can prepare that will help us for anything coming up in the future. So the first one is that you need to get out of debt and have a savings. 50% of Americans right now are unable to pay an unexpected $500 bill. And that's because so many people are living paycheck to paycheck. And we think that's normal, but it's not. You don't have to do it that way. If you can pay off all your debts as fast as you can and then build up some money into an emergency fund and have it waiting in a savings account in case something goes wrong, when an emergency happens, now all of a sudden it's no longer an emergency to you, and now it's just an inconvenience. So pay off your debt, have money set aside in the bank, right? And this is going to mean that you might have to kind of lower your standard of living, at least for the time being, right? You don't need to, if you're in debt, you don't need to be going on vacations and buying brand new cars. Seriously, a brand new car is the worst financial decision you can make because of how fast it depreciates. Just pay cash for things. Buy used cars. You don't need to take out financing plans to buy a couch. Just buy a secondhand couch, right? Pay off your debt, build up a savings, and things will become much smoother when you find yourself at some point when you're unable to work. Again, maybe it's some kind of an emergency like this. Maybe it's because you got injured on the job and can no longer go back, right? Having a financial cushion there makes everything easier. So pay off debt, build up a savings account, step one. Number two, store up a few weeks worth of supplies. Right, you should have enough supplies in your house to live for 2, 3, 4, however long you want to make it, right? 2 to 3 weeks is a good place to start, and then maybe bump it up to a month. But this will include things like food, clean drinking water, just have a couple extra cases of bottle of water. Medications that you might be on. What if your medication runs out in a couple weeks and you're unable to get it? If you can have supplies of anything like that, it'll be much helpful. And yes, that includes toilet paper. Right, so get a couple weeks worth of supplies. Right, we used to make fun of preppers and all these crazy people, like you've probably seen the show Doomsday Preppers, and these guys losing their minds that have just like storehouses of all this random stuff and medicine and ammo and guns. Right, now people are looking at them like they're not that crazy. Right, I'm not saying you have to go to that level, but you should have a couple weeks worth of non-perishable food stored up in your house. Right, the next one is get healthy. When you look at who's most susceptible to this virus right now, there's the elderly people, which you don't really have much control over that, but a couple other things that make you much more susceptible. If you're a smoker, if you're obese, if you're overweight and have problems with your hearts and lungs and things like that, a lot of that stuff is things that you can control. So lose weight, right? Start exercising, quit smoking, stop drinking soda and going out to McDonald's on a regular basis, cut out sugars and processed carbs and replace those with more meats and vegetables. That's the biggest things. Eating fat does not make you fat. Eating sugars and processed carbs, do more meats and vegetables, get outside, get active, get healthy. Because when you're healthier and you're physically stronger, you are more resilient to whatever life is going to throw at you, including something like a virus. And then the last one is spending time with your family is a good thing, right? Parents are losing their minds because they have to be around their children. God gave you those children for a reason. They are not a burden, but they are your responsibility to take care of them, to teach them, to mold and shape their minds, to give them godly values, to train them up in what you want them to do for the rest of your life, and to build memories with them, right? So you should be making spending time with your family a regular thing. So many people in America work all day long that they never spend time with their kids. If you are providing for your kids financially, but not emotionally and spiritually, you're still not doing your job completely. Now, I understand that, right, there's a lot of financial struggles right now, and a lot of parents can't afford to be home all the time because everybody has to work, and I'm very sympathetic to that. But you should have already been making it a priority to spend quality time with your kids. Things like, don't let them be on their cell phones while you're eating meals together. By the way, you should be eating meals together. Have a family game night. Do some goofy things. Go for a family walk. But it is a good thing to spend time with your family. So those are just a couple lists of things. When you are prepared and when we have these things in place, again, all of a sudden when we come across an emergency, now it's just an inconvenience. So when you have to stay home for a few weeks, right? Yeah, it's going to hurt. It might set you back in some of your plans, but we're going to get through this. We're going to get through it together. You're going to get through it as a family. So hopefully that helps, because if something like this happens a year or two down the road and you have not done anything to prepare yourself, then you're probably going to be one of those people that has to wipe with your left hand, and that's going to suck.